Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Molly Manufacturing is an industry leader in livestock handling equipment. Today, we'll show you how their innovative products can improve safety and efficiency for both your cattle and crew.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hello and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Kate Maher. We're coming to you from Lorain, Kansas, home to Molly Manufacturing, the industry leader in livestock handling equipment. I'm here with John Mulhagen, founder of Molly. John, you may make equipment now, but you have some pretty deep roots in agriculture. Tell us about that.
Well, Kate, I'm a fifth generation farmer stockman. And basically I got started into building hydraulic equipment for cattle. We had the need for taking equipment to the cattle rather than taking the cattle to the equipment because of the additional costs that we had to do that. So in the meantime, at that point in time, we started building a product we called Corral, and after that was our product called Silencer.
So you've raised cattle for a lot of years, and then you went to building it, and you mentioned the Silencer. That's really the product that put you on the map. Should we go take a look at this model?
Let's go take a look.
Great.
Silencer squeeze chutes have many different options that are available depending on the kind of operation that you've got. If you're stocker cattle, cow-calf, finish operation, all these things need to have different ways of handling these animals. And as we start to go through some of these, one of the first things we look at that may look a little different to you is what we call louvers. A louver is basically a blinder that helps the animal not to visually see us as they're entering, but yet with one step, like a louver in your house, I can see where that animal is located. That's a very nice feature that helps get your animals into your silencer. The number one thing why it's named Silencer is because all these oil-based polyethylenes are used on each of these contact points. So there's really no contact points on most all of the steel-on-steel locations. One of the things that we like to also look at is the way our doors work. And we call them doors, we don't call them head gates, because what they do is they open from top to bottom. And they don't just slide open, they actually move somewhat in a roundabout movement. And what this does, when we're catching, this actually makes it easier to catch, but really what it helps us with is when we're releasing. A lot of times that animal, you take the pressure off this animal right here, and they feel like they have room to move. So the head doors are a very important part of what a silencer is about for handling the animal correctly. Okay, we've got a cow in here and we know she's got a foot problem. And so just to allow her to keep her from dropping down on us, what we have is what we call a hydraulic belly bar. And that's this tool right here. And you'll see this rubber belted piece is going to rotate up and hold her up. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this to look. Okay, now go ahead and move your hydraulic belly bar, please. If you'll notice, did you see how that picked up this cow right here to keep her from dropping down? Very important. So now that gives us an opportunity to do what other work we need to do here. If we walk on around to the front of the head doors, this is what we call hydraulic neck bars. And the real advantage in hydraulic neck bars is when the animal enters, it has room to catch right here, also on rubber. So you'll notice that all these points are also on rubber. Very, very good for the animal's safety and also for the way that they feel as they're in the chute. We can move this bar to the left or we can move this bar to the right. And what this does, this means we can turn the animal's head to the left or we can turn the animal's head to the right. What this does, this gives us a lot of extra control of the animal's head, plus also the neck injection areas that we look at are located around the neck areas. Very important, and probably one of the more important features that we do build for silencer squeeze chutes today. If we walk on around, the next thing we'll look at is how we set our valves up, and you'll notice that all the valves that we use have a different function. And so you look, there's a fair amount of valves to look at here, but really these three valves here are what we call tail door, top squeeze, and head door. And what this does, this means a lot of times we'll have a vaccine gun in our hand or something here. So we want to be able to do this actual catch on the animal just with one hand. So we can bring these and open or close to actually catch and hold this animal. Very important to be able to use these, because it takes a lot of quickness to sometimes to get these animals to actually catch them. It does make it easier though. Another thing about silencers is we also use what we call an overhead scales, or we have platform scales. This happens to be an overhead scale. And basically what we have is two load bars on top, and what we've done is all of the electronics and all the wiring is up above and not below on a floor scale. You know, floor scales are good, but when they break, they're difficult to get out, and there's always some maintenance, where the overhead is virtually very, very little maintenance and very easy to clean. This machine will actually hydraulically lift up so that we can clean out underneath of it. And as we go back to this side right here, this is what we'd call a rear entry door, a rear door, so it can be used for a lot of different things. Pregnancy checking, embryo transfers, anything of that nature in reproductive animals. So we like to be able to step in and get in behind these animals. So this is a very important feature on your cow-calf type operations. Another thing you'll notice on these is that we have these drop pans, we call drop pans, and we're able to drop these down very easily to get to these animals. And they're very easy to put away as well. And that's just an option on this machine. We also build doors that swing out this direction as well. So as you look through the options for silencers, you're going to find out there's a lot to look at. These are just some of the features on this particular model.
Coming up, we'll look at some more great products from Molly that are sure to make a difference on your farm or ranch.
Matt Macon's here in this week's Weather Watch. Remember the last time we talked about this El Nino being somewhat weaker? Well, your updated winter forecast, temperatures and precip is ahead in this week's Weather Watch.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today.
CattleCon 24 is marching onward to Orlando, January 31st to February 2nd, 2024. Have your say in the future of the industry, network with fellow producers, or connect with friendly faces. Plus, the NCBA trade show will be on site with over 385,000 square feet of the latest and greatest in the cattle business to help your operation stay competitive and sustainable. Learn more at convention.ncba.org.
Welcome back as we continue our discussion of cattle handling equipment with John Mulhagen of Molly Manufacturing. John, why is it so important to you to build equipment that allows producers to handle cattle in a calm fashion?
Well, really, one of the main things we look at is safety. I mean, we need safety for our operators. That's number one. Number two, we need to make sure these cattle are well taken care of, and that when we're holding these animals, that they're held properly, and that they stay calm during the process, whatever that process is that we're doing with the animal.
You know, to meet those objectives, you've worked with some great industry experts over the years to make sure you're on track with that with the equipment. Tell us about some of them.
Well, some of the industry experts that we have used through the years is one really comes up number one, and that's Dr. Temple Grandin. Through the years, we've had quite a few conversations, and when we do, they're usually 20, 30 minutes long. And so we have a lot of fun talking about things, and we do that even to the day. We'll visit it occasionally.
But it's really important to make sure that the industry thinks that this is safe and effective too. Maybe why did you get those industry experts involved?
Well, these industry experts obviously helped us make our sales, but without their approval, it's not going to go anywhere. So we really needed to have veterinarians, farmer ranchers, these different universities are real important for us to grow this and make sure that we understand what they need.
And joining us now to talk more about this topic is livestock handling expert Dr. Temple Grandin. Dr. Grandin, can you give our viewers your perspective on why it's important now more than ever to prioritize humane cattle handling practices?
Well, using good low-stress handling practices is super important. First of all, it's the right thing to do. Now, the good news is that over the years, cattle handling's improved. I mean, there's been all these workshops that have been put on, really increasing the attention to it. And the percentage of people that are probably handling cattle decently is probably 80 or 90%. 10 years ago, it might be 70%. 50 years ago, it might have been 10%. So things have really improved. But unfortunately, there's a few individuals, I don't think they live in a cave somewhere or something, that are still doing some really rough, bad things to cattle. And that could hurt the whole entire industry. I wish this wasn't true, but I've talked right directly to a person who worked for one of these people. And another reason to have good handling is you're going to have more productive animals, less accidents to people, better reproduction if you're doing AI, better weight gain. There's lots of good reasons why good stockmanship pays. Now, I've been in the cattle industry for 50 years, and you have a lot of people now just saying, well, cattle are horrible, they wreck the environment, they put methane out. And so I wrote a paper on grazing, on rotational grazing methods. And the more I learned about this, I learned that if you do grazing right, it improves the land. It sequesters carbon. We need to be doing more and more good things like this with cattle and showing how we can improve land with grazing animals. Because a lot of people forget that 20% of the land in the world can only be used for grazing. It's too arid to raise crops on it.
What impresses you most about Molly equipment and how it helps farmers and ranchers safely and humanely handle cattle?
Well, I've known John Mulhagan for years. I can remember when he brought his first silencer squeeze chute to the Denver Stock Show. Extremely innovative inventor. I looked up his patents. He has a whole bunches of patents. They've got one of the best squeeze chutes on the market. There's no question about that. It's a Cadillac of squeeze chutes. But I also was impressed with this new lightweight corral system they designed that's very, very easy to set up. John is a very, very brilliant person on inventing new things. And silencer's the Cadillac of squeeze chutes. But I also was very impressed with a new corral system he came up with. It was very easy to put up, and you could set it up in different configurations and had these kickstands. So as you pushed it in, it would stop the cattle from pushing it out. Because recently I had a chance to try to work some cattle in an alley that wasn't secured to the ground, and they just pushed it apart, and it was a mess. And these kickstands would have prevented that problem.
Do you feel that Molly equipment also helps provide a safer environment for the people working with the cattle?
Well, one advantage, one of the things that's happened with cattle are much calmer. Their temperament is way better now compared to 25 years ago when my student Wozniak did the first temperament testing. Some of the cattle we had back then were wild. And so the new corral system is fairly lightweight, but it can work with the cattle we have now. It makes a difference in reducing accidents to people. There's lots of good reasons for handling cattle in a low-stress manner. It's also the right thing to do. And there's lots of workshops going on where people can learn more about this. I have lots of information on my website that's free. It's just grandin.com, my last name. I've got corral designs. I've got articles on behavior. I've got a video library of my own videos, plus the best videos that other people have put out. There's lots of information out there. But management has to have the right attitude. The top sets the tone. So a ranch owner or a ranch manager has to decide, we are going to put in low-stress handling methods and get totally behind it. Management has to have buy-in. Equipment alone will not do it. Equipment's only half the equation. The other half is management and training people.
Dr. Grandin, thank you for your time and, of course, for continuing to provide your expertise in livestock care and behavior to our industry. If you want to learn more about how Molly's wide assortment of innovative products can improve your cattle handling, visit their website, mollymfg.com.
One of our newest products that we have is hydraulic swing gates for our alleyways. So many times we've got animals back there that we need to bring in, but somebody's got to walk way back there and maybe be in the middle of a very high impact area. So with our new hydraulic swing gates, what we can do is we can open these at a long distance away. So what this gives us an opportunity is to open this gate from any place we want, and yet when we get ready to close it, we're at the same situation. We swing around and we close this gate. And one of the best things about this is the fact that when this gate is closed, it is locked. It's not a hydraulic gate with just hydraulics. It actually is locked in position right here. So when we get ready to open it, we push our button right here and we lift this, and now our gate can be swung back and into a situation where the animals can enter this alley. And once they've entered, then we can just basically take this and close it. On our new hydraulic swing gates, one of the nicest features we have is the fact that where am I at? I'm a long ways from the gate, but yet I can still open these animals to go into the next section, whatever it may be. That's a very important part of what we do, plus the amount of labor it takes to operate this. Think how many steps it would take for me to go open this gate or close this gate at the same time. So it adds a lot of safety and ease of use. Maybe one of the most important features that our gate actually has is what we call relief valves that keep from the animals tearing up this gate. So basically, this gate can move with a lot of pressure without tearing up the equipment. When it comes to feedlot paneling or fence paneling, you'll notice that these panels are 256 pounds apiece and are only 10 foot long. So they're heavy and they're made for a lot of life. But one of the most interesting things about this is our self-standing stabilizers that we use at this point right here. What we can do, depending on where we're at, we can adjust this up and down depending on the contour of where we're at. So it gives us so much more opportunity in a situation like this where there's a lot of contour differences. So this gives us a lot of options where we put our equipment. But maybe one of the main things is the fact that if this sits in manure for the next 10 years, there's not going to be much left of this, right? Well, all we do is take this loose, pull this off, put a new stabilizer on here, and we practically have a new panel.
Up next, we'll show you Molly Manufacturing's innovative gate system that helps keep animals calm and people safe. Stay with us.
You work hard to feed your herd and maintain your property. John Deere 6 Series tractors give you choices that fit your operation. 6E tractors are simple and easy to use around your ranch. See all the angles when moving snow or maneuver easily in tight spots with 6M tractors. Get more power and premium comfort with 6R tractors. Mixing feed, weighing bales, and loading goods have never been easier with new loader technologies on 6Rs. Ask your John Deere dealer to learn more.
Are you concerned about the impact government policies could have on your cattle business? One way to make your voice heard in Washington is by joining NCBA. When you join, you'll be part of the nation's oldest and largest national cattle industry organization that has a professional team working in Washington, D.C. on issues that matter to cattle-producing families nationwide. Don't stay on the sidelines. Make your voice heard by joining NCBA today at the website ncba.org.
Time now for Weather Watch, brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors and WSR Insurance.
Matt Bacon's here. Hope this Weather Watch finds you doing well. Remember in the last Weather Watch, we kind of talked about a very strong El Nino in the ocean, but the atmosphere was kind of weak. Well, let's take this a bit farther and see how the winter forecast has been impacted by this relatively moderate to weak El Nino event that we have. Remember this graphic, this came from the last Weather Watch on the Cattlemen to Cattlemen show. We talked about kind of the timing of when El Nino's impact will move through. That hasn't changed, but the magnitude of the event still remains somewhat mediocre, for lack of a better term. And we're looking at the ocean conditions. That's where we look for El Nino or La Nina. In this case, see the reds? That's warmer than average ocean temperatures, and that indicates El Nino. Yes, this area is quite warm. It's fourth warmest since 1980. So technically the El Nino event is the fourth strongest since 1980. It's not acting like that though. The atmosphere above is much weaker in its El Nino kind of presence or footprint, if you will. And remember, El Nino or La Nina changes that storm flow, changes where our storms come from, the jet stream. In a La Nina, they come diving out of Canada over the Rockies and then impact areas like the Ohio Valley. Now, if we have El Nino, we get a really strong, a screaming strong jet stream that comes off of the Pacific. It has a lot more water, and it targets the southern states. When we have strong conditions in both cases, that's what we would see. But our atmosphere isn't necessarily as strong as we'd like to see to spread that water out. So the atmosphere is relatively weak. How has this changed the winter forecast that you read about in the Fall Directions magazine, for example, or in previous episodes of Weather Watch? Well, by and large, we're still looking at warmer than normal conditions across the north and cooler than normal down across the southern plains. There's the previous forecast. Here's the new one. With a weaker El Nino footprint, you have to reduce some of the warmth across the north. What about precipitation? Here's the new one, and then let's compare that to the old one. There's the old, a lot more water across the south, and not to say we won't have the water across the south, but the biggest difference is some of the drought that will be moving into the Great Lakes and here around the Tennessee Valley, for example. So some moderate little changes there based on the strength of this El Nino event. Of course, I'm not going anywhere. We'll see you in the next Weather Watch, and we'll continue to track this El Nino event.
Weather Watch is brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors, with you no matter the weather. And by WSR Insurance, providing insurance solutions for more than a century. Visit their websites for more details.
We're here in Lorain, Kansas, home of Molly Manufacturing. Let's check in again with John Mulhagen, founder of Molly.
This is just a plastic shovel, but it's a great tool. You can put this and use it as a blinder, or you can make yourself large by holding this high. So even on foot, it really helps a lot. But the main thing is, if we can get this in front of their eyes, you can really stop cattle. One thing I want you to see right here that we're doing is by holding this up high, all of a sudden I'm a lot larger than they are. So if you watch their heads, you'll watch their heads, and you'll see that they'll look up and they'll see that. Your shovel actually is what it's doing. You'll notice that we're blinding their eyes. So when you're really close up and these high impact areas, and anytime we're on foot like this, these are high impact areas. And so these things really do help us a lot in keeping these animals, basically using it as a blinder. And all of a sudden you're just larger than these animals. So if you watch their heads, you'll notice that they see that. One of the greatest features for safety that we have on some of our newest equipment is remote controls. With this piece of equipment right here, I can do something that used to be always a manual job, and that is to push a gate. With this system right here, I can push this, and if I want to bring this gate back towards me, I can hold it this direction, or if my cattle, once my cattle have moved in, I can stay out of the high impact areas, get these animals started, and close in behind. So what this allows you to do, someone from another location other than right here can actually run this and help out who's ever working in this particular area right here. The main reason why we started building turret gates was the need for hydraulics to get these animals into those high impact areas. Anytime you get down to that 30-inch alley, the hardest thing we do is get those cattle into these alleyways. So the turret gate does fix all of that. We can use this in many, many ways. It also, as it swings, we have what we call shuttle. And shuttle means that if we have animals entering right here, well, we don't want to force this gate back onto oncoming animals, right? So once we do that, we'd have to push these animals back. With turret gate, if this animal stops at this point here, we can simply roll across and let this animal right on in, and then come in right behind him. And you've caught them. You'll notice that if we don't have what we want, we just move it again. So we can go forward, different directions. So the turret gate itself is one of the most innovative tools that we've ever come up with, and probably adds as much safety as anything you can get besides the silencer in your ranching operation.
Still to come, we'll show you Molly's fresh, innovative take on the traditional corral. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
By installing Ritchie waterers, you save water while keeping it fresh and always available to your animals. You protect the land by keeping natural water clean and soil healthy. And you conserve power because they're energy efficient. We're committed to helping you create a prosperous, sustainable, and regenerative future, because we know, like you know, that every saved drop matters. Ritchie, fresh water for life.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is the oldest and largest national cattle industry organization working to defend your interests in Washington, D.C. And there are big benefits to being a member. You'll get news you can use in the National Cattlemen, email updates in the NCBA Beef Bulletin, plus big discounts only for NCBA members. Join by calling 866-233-3872 or online at ncba.org.
Welcome back as we continue our discussion on Molly Manufacturing. Let's go to John Mulhagen again to learn all about their all-purpose corral.
One thing you'll notice that this area right here, we took a very small area to use to demonstrate on how the APC corral actually works. So really we don't need much space, and yet we can still do a lot of work. You'll notice that what we did is we went into a large corral and we made a small corral inside of this large one. So we went from 5 people with a horse working in here. Now we only needed 2 to do the same thing because we had this wall that we built, these moving walls, to get them into the working facility. This can be used in so many applications, inside of pens, in pastures. We can use them on sheep. This is designed to hold for small animals as well as large animals with these points right here. What we've done right here is we've caught this small group of cattle, but you can see that our kickstands are keeping these animals from pushing this back. So I can continue to tighten this up on these animals. And what we've done is we've eliminated us going inside with the cattle. We're on the outside, and so we're able to push in with a lot safer, less contact with the animals. So what we've got here is we've shown you how we moved our walls in on these animals. It's really easy to move them back. Basically, we just pick our kickstand up and we can start bringing this fence back. So you can see right here, this is holding this gate yet. And now I still have a very tight location, and I can tighten this up even more on them again if I want to. So move those animals this way just a little bit. Now I'm going to take this gate right here and I'm just going to push it in. Now you can see we've actually just locked these cattle in here. One thing I would like to see is if this thing will break over. This is designed, if you get too much pressure on these animals, that this will come up and this will fall back over. I'll show you on this one right here. So if you get an animal, you get too much pressure on the animal like we see here, this gate will actually come up and break over. And so what that does for us, that keeps us from getting too much pressure on the animal. So to reset it, we just put it down and start over again. And so any of these panels will do that. These start to get a little heavy when you get two of them on there. But the animal pressure they'll get create enough pressure that they will pick this up, and that is a switch. It's basically a pressure relief switch. Now right here, what I can show you, these gates are designed, this is designed to slide sideways. If you notice, this is rounded right here. And what that allows me to do is I can slide sideways with this. So just by picking up slightly, now I've got something that I can actually slide across. You notice right here that these corrals fold up very easy. This is not necessarily easy ground to push on either. And you'll notice I'm doing it just pretty easy to do this. This machine can be set up anywhere, inside buildings, inside corrals that are already here. We can go to pastures. We've had people that go out and just catch bulls, just take the APC to the bull, and with their hydraulic bale bed, they unload and they just catch cattle right where the cattle are at. You'll notice that this corral, APC corral, sets up very easily. A lot of our customers are so surprised how quickly and easily this sets up. With our bale beds that are being used with this, it saves wheels, saves a lot of time. It's a very strong product in the world of portable cattle handling. If you notice that the APC corral has many uses. We have a customer with a testimonial that told us that they picked up 24 bulls in 7 different pastures in one day. So with that in mind, with that much flexibility, you can't go wrong with this portable corral. Even if you own a portable corral, you're going to want one of these because it is so quick and really fits in with any kind of portable cattle equipment. If you look at the equipment that we build today, you'll notice that most of it is unique to anything else you're going to see on the market. One of the things we look at with Molly is safety first for the animals and for the people. And that is the number one thing. But if you actually look at the products that we build today, you'll find them very efficient to use and very low labor. And between these two things, that really enhances a way of handling animals and having some fun doing it.
Still to come, we talk with a veterinarian about why they recommend Molly equipment. Stay with us.
Join the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. NCBA is the oldest and largest national cattle industry organization working to defend your interests in Washington, D.C. And there are big benefits to being a member. You'll get news you can use in the National Cattlemen, email updates in the NCBA Beef Bulletin, plus big discounts only for NCBA members. Join by calling 866-233-3872 or online at ncba.org.
This beef quality assurance tip is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
Hi, I'm Courtney Gray, the Director of Marketing and Industry Relations with the Pennsylvania Beef Council. A large portion of my job is on the farm with producers, helping them to obtain beef quality assurance certification. But another part of my job is working every day with consumers who have questions about the beef that they are purchasing in the grocery store. My tip for you today is to obtain your beef quality assurance certification. I understand that many of the tips that are in the beef quality assurance program might be things you've already implemented on your farm or ranch. The importance of the certification process helps us when we're talking with consumer audiences to show your commitment to basic things on your farm. Things like good animal husbandry, quality animal care, and ensuring that the beef that ends up in consumers' hands is of a high quality product. It's never been more important for us to have that story to tell. I hope this has encouraged you to want to obtain your beef quality assurance certification. You can find out more by visiting bqa.org, which will help you find the location for an in-person certification near you, or you can take the online modules and complete the certification from the comfort of your own home. BQA, the right way is the only way.
The Beef Quality Assurance Program is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
Today, we're focusing on cattle handling equipment designed and built by our friends at Molly. Joining us now is Dr. Randall Spare of Ashland Veterinary Center. Dr. Spare, tell us a little bit about how you came to be familiar with Molly equipment.
Kate, I've been practicing for a number of years, and I remember back in about 1989, and it had to be one of the newest chutes available, but that producer still uses that chute today, and I'm thinking, this one operates a little bit different. And you know, from that time on, we saw a few more chutes particularly, and then they started adding different types of equipment to handle cattle prior to getting to the chute and after the chute. So as time has grown, those facilities have changed. They've become bigger, but also the chutes have changed. And I see more and more chutes throughout the country the places that I go. We practice in 14 different Kansas counties, 5 in Oklahoma, and a couple in Texas. So we see that footprint ever expanding. You know, Ellsworth, Kansas is only about 3 hours away from us. And I thought, well, they're a long ways away. We'll never use them. But today we see more of those products out there, very well accepted in our world today.
So what is it really that impresses you most, or what impresses you about the Molly systems and the Molly silencer squeeze chutes? So
there's a number of things, but Kate, I'd like to go back to say, as cow-calf producers, the majority of our cow-calf operations that we do work for are cow-calf. So we make investments in these cattle by how we handle them, by how we make nutritional choices, vaccination choices, health choices, and genetics. All those 4 stools, if you will, steps to those stool, make up an investment in those livestock. when we have a good facility and those cattle are able to express their genetic potential more. Research shows that wild cattle, cattle that are sporty, don't perform as well from a health standpoint and from just a performance standpoint. So it's important that we have a good facility to start with.
I really like the point you make about cattle reaching their genetic potential, because we talk about that a lot, but we usually talk about it in terms of forage management or feed and nutrition or animal health products, or even genetic selection. But how you handle those cattle it plays a huge part in that. You'd mentioned that you've been practicing veterinarian for 40 years. I imagine in that time you've seen a lot of squeeze chutes. What are some features that stand out to you about the silencer squeeze chute?
So to answer that question, Kate, there's a number of them, but it's safe. That's safe, and it's safe to people, and it's safe to animals. We all know that some of our challenges today is labor. And some of that labor haven't grown up around ranches, haven't grown up around cattle. So we have to make a product that's easy to be used for them, easy on the cattle. And as a veterinarian, we want those animals to be accessible in various ways. Just recently, one of my clients had to retool and purchase a new silencer chute, and it has a belly bar underneath of it. So that's a responsiveness that Silencer Molly does for us, is they're in tune with what the industry is. They have skin in the game, and they see what we need. And so labor's important, and we got to take good care of those. Cattle are extremely important. And we think about the value today. Bred females are going to bring $3,000. Several years ago, it was worth, we were selling open cows for $800. We don't have very many cattle today, and we need to really take good care of them. And starting with a good facility and a good chute is so important.
I can agree more with you when you talk about Molly having skin in the game. What's always impressed me about them is how vested they are, not only in the beef cattle industry, but with the beef producers themselves, with the people that they serve. And their system is very approachable in so many ways, from whether it's price or whether it's functionality. They really build it to meet the needs of that person. And I think that's just their commitment. What would be your guidance then to somebody saying, yeah, let me take a look at the Molly system? What's your guidance to them in terms of looking at it as a whole and making the right choice and building it right for them?
That's a great question. So not too long ago, I had a client wanted to buy a chute, and I gave him several options, and then he said, well, I think I want to do a silencer chute. So we got out the catalog or the online and started looking, and I was frankly a little bit overwhelmed with all the options. I say that in a positive manner, in the fact that we had so many choices to choose from to make it work best for him. One size doesn't fit all. Somebody may have, their cattle may not be, they may weigh 1,200 pounds. Some bulls, maybe 2,500 pounds, and we need a facility that is best for them. This particular rancher decided on a little bit shorter chute, put a palpation cage behind him because that's what his facility allowed, and we were able to design that chute with the tools that's best for his cattle and his pocketbook, frankly. And that's the thing. It's so frustrating to have to go buy something because this is what's the option. And there's none. But I would say that with Molly, they have created opportunities for all of us to succeed. And that's what it takes today in the cattle industry. So one more thing, when we think about, there's 750,000 cow-calf producers in the United States. One size doesn't fit all. We all have them for different reasons, cattle. So we need to have a facility that we can handle cattle in.
And the adaptability is key, because cattle don't look like they looked like 50 years ago, but with the vast progress that we can make in changing cattle through genetics, they're not going to look the same in 3 years from now. So it's really important to have those facilities and equipment that can handle changing cattle, both for the cattle and for the producers.
That's right, and those cattle producers will change also with that. We see a gender change, and there's nothing better than to have a facility that's easy for everyone to use. I'm 60-something. I'm a little more mature than what I used to be, and I sure don't like running a manual chute. And today, oftentimes when we go out to maybe palpate cattle, I'll actually run the chute and preg at the same time because I can be in control. But the thing is, Molly Manufacturing has so many things, tools that each of us as producers can use. And I think that if they don't have it, ask them about it, and they'll think about it, and they'll think, maybe that's a good idea. And I think that's the type of vendors that I like to approach and to get along with. And, you know, they're vested in BQA. And we all know that the end product, we have to think about the consumer. Who's going to eat our product? We don't produce just a feeder animal. We produce a wholesome, healthy steak at the end of the day, and we need to have a good facility to do that.
Yeah, and Molly will keep us all getting better and moving the industry in the right direction. Dr. Spare, thank you for your time here today. Thank you for your long-term service to the industry. We really appreciate all you do.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us. We'll be back to wrap up this special episode of Cattlemen to Cattlemen right after this.
The innovative all-purpose corral from Molly Manufacturing features a rugged yet lightweight design that means you can easily transport and set this corral up anywhere.
We have a customer with a testimonial that told us that they picked up 24 bulls in 7 different pastures in one day. With that much flexibility, you can't go wrong with this portable corral.
One corral, endless possibilities. Find out more at mollymfg.com.
This beef quality assurance tip is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
I'm Steve Boyles, Beef Extension Specialist at Ohio State University. The BQA tip focus at this time is transportation, and we're going to talk about tires. Trailer tires are different than our truck tires. They are designed with a heavier side to handle loads. The thing we have to think about with that, since it's designed to handle loads, we have to help the designer out and maintain the inflation in these trailer tires. You probably want to check that inflation at least more often than we probably do with our truck tires to maintain the integrity of this tire. The other thing we have to take into account is how often we use trailers. Many times with trailers, the side of a tire is going to wear out sooner than the tread. So we need to look at the side and evaluate, look at the cracks, look at the breaks in the side of that tire. You can also look at the age of the tire. There is a 4-digit code on this tire, 3918, which means it was manufactured on the 39th week of 2018. After 6 to 7 years, we need to more critically evaluate the condition of the side of this tire. Let's say we do have a blowout. When you repair or replace the tire that went flat, remember to put it back on the front of the trailer where the trailer manufacturer meant that tire to be. That will increase the ease you have of getting that tire the next time you need it. For more information about this topic and others, you can check out BQA Transportation at the website.
The Beef Quality Assurance Program is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
Welcome back as we wrap up our look at Molly Manufacturing and the many different products they build that safely and efficiently handle livestock. During our recent visit to Kansas, we also saw that Molly equipment isn't just for cattle. This is Hedrick Exotic Animal Farm in Nickerson, Kansas. They use Molly equipment for a wide range of tasks, including, as you can see here, sorting zebras with an all-purpose corral. The owner is Joe Hedrick, and he talked with John Mulhagen about the value he sees in Molly products.
We've had some zebras in this APC corral today, and now we've got some kangaroos. What are you thinking about how we can use this in different locations?
Hey, with my exotics, it'll work on all of them. Of course, we got the ostrich and the camels too, and the kangaroos, the giraffe. This thing would hold the giraffe, even though he's tall. But yeah, it's the most all-purpose corral that I've been around.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you can see it that way. Using our bale beds right here to pick them up, it takes away all those wheels and so much flexibility on your different ranches where you handle your exotics and your cow herds.
It would work. I mean, we've already proved it. It'll work for any animal.
Yeah, right. Do you like the flexibility on how we can push those moving walls in?
Oh, absolutely.
To do things so we can stay on the outside to take take a lot of the danger away from the people
plus
trying
all
to do
kinds
that.
of configurations. I mean, you can make a circle, you can make squares, you can make alleyways. The configuration is what's really great about it too.
The wheels also give us that option to, during your configuration work, to be able to slide sideways, you know, where our steel wheels have a little bit of a cup.
Yeah.
So we consider it kind of almost a ski.
Yeah.
So they're designed to be able to pull sideways.
Yeah.
And in this portable world, there's so much of the time we need to be able to scoot things around different.
Yeah, with all animals. You go with one plan, but you got to be ready to do a different plan, and that's the great part about it. You can just, like I say, so many different configurations, and the wheels under it, the wheels up. You know, it's just it's a great corral.
We're just showing how this door works. How we've got a stanchion gate here too. If we need to do some work on animals, we can use our stanchion gate. So we can use this on a lot of different sizes, or we can use it as a walk-through gate.
Or loadout gate.
Or loadout gate. You'll find out loading out is we can, a lot of times we load out from the back of these, and we have everything. We can just keep squeezing down until you're pinched off completely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a great part of the alleyways. You know, yeah, you can just make an alleyway, or like I said, any configuration. That's what's, you know, I really like it.
If you're looking for top-of-the-line cattle handling equipment, be sure to contact the team at Molly. They offer a wide assortment of innovative products that are designed to fit your operation. Visit mollymfg.com for all the details. That wraps up this edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thanks so much for spending time with us. We'll see you again next week, right here on RFD TV.